Hello everyone, welcome back to the Lord of the Rings Online. This is Gnarlo here. Let's see if we catch something, Gnarlo. We're gonna ring it on in here. Nope, nothing on the hook. Wave to everybody, Gnarlo, if you will. There you go, good boy. As you see here, we are back, and I am gonna go ahead and get rid of the fishing rod. We'll put our lantern in our hand for now. And that gives an excuse for having the glow around us. If I'm going to run the Alt 10, I always like to have the lantern or be on my Michael Delving horse. Something with a reason for why we've got the lights turned on. But what I was going to tell you is, as you see, when we left off, we were far to the north up in Surrey-Kyla. In the very cold, I was thinking about making the long route back down here, riding down through all the different stations. But don't have to do that. I just hit and came back to my travel, back to my personal house, and voila, here I am. So what we are going to do now is see if we can finish up Chapter 13, Frustrated Hopes. We need to go back to Celondim and talk to Eglaimir. So we are going to mount up. And as I said, if during the daytime I've gotten into the habit of using my steed of the burglar, but during the nighttime I still like to load up with my steed of Mickle Delving here, one that we got during the Bounder's Bounty thing, so that I've got the lantern hanging off the side and once again can justify have that light coming out. So we are going to go see if we can find Eglaimir and finish up Chapter 13, Frustrated Hopes. And speaking of hopes, I am hoping that we will be finishing up with Book 14 tonight. It is currently about 4:30 in the morning here at my house. Hoping that we're going to finish up Book 14 here in this particular episode and move on to the ultimate book in the Volume 1, Book 15. And see how that goes. We are really closing in here on the end of the original story that came out with the Shadows of Angmar, back with the original release of the game. Oh, so many, 8 years ago now? I think so. Closing in real quick here toward the end of the game and moving on into the next chapter, which will be all about the trip to Moria. I'm looking forward to Moria. It's a very different place very different world and a very different place from where we've been. Where everything is, all bright and shiny and sunshine and hanging out in the Shire and traveling through woods. Once we get in Moria, it's all going to be about darkness and pain and death and the smell of orcs. But I've got to say, I did really enjoy it. I spent a long time in Moria on my other... I won't call him my main anymore because I actually spend far more time on Gnarlo these days. I'll call him my other main, my original main, Glenorin, my dwarf. I spent probably over a year in Moria because during that period of time, not having a whole lot of time to work on gaming and stuff in my free time. It was during a period of time when I was spending a lot of time playing Minecraft for one thing, and then dealing with a new house, two new houses, because I got a new house and my wife got a new house at the same time, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it ate into a lot of my free time. So I spent a long time in Moria. And it actually felt really, really weird when I finally got some time to finish it up and come out into the daytime again. Come out into the daylight once more. And spending time under the trees of Lothlorien in the bright day and all the golden, after all the dark and the blue and the gray and the cold of Moria was really a weird feeling. Alright, let's see about talking to Eglaimir here. Zoom in, let him know that we were unsuccessful in our quest to prevent the Angmarim from getting the skin of the dragon. Alas, there is little hope now that we may hinder Marthiel from reforging Narquil and bringing her armies to bear upon Eriador, especially if this Lord of Umbar, this Mordrambor you spoke of, is aiding her once more.
Might you spare a moment of your time?
Chapter 14, The Heavy Burden. There is no more aid I can give you. With the hide of Bregmor and Celebrindbor's shaping tool, there is naught to keep Angmar from rekindling the forges of Eregion and reforging Narquil. You have failed, but think not too poorly of yourself. The chances were slim at best. Of course, you see, it's like that. You have failed, but don't think too badly about yourself. Look, if this is this great earth-shaking event and the sake of the free peoples, why are y'all sending one hobbit? Why aren't you marching forth with an elfin army here to prevent them from getting the dragon yourself? Ugh. Like I said, elves. What are you going to do about that damn elves? You should return to Rivendell and bring this dire news to Elrond Half-Elven. Perhaps he will know what to do now. Rivendell lies in the Trollshaws, far to the east in the shadow of the Misty Mountains. That part there I've never quite understood with some of these quests like this, because it's like, if you're on chapter 14 of book 14, you know where Rivendell is. You know, nobody should be having to give you instructions on how to get to Rivendell. I've got to say that all things together, I was very, very happy with that last mission. It was very old school. The whole thing with it sending you to, telling you that the dragon's lair was somewhere to this area and you had to go find it. And
what do you need?
We're going to travel to West Bree here. Yes, I do have a travel to Rivendell up there, but we're just going to take a little bit of a ride through the stables, because who knows when I might need that by the end of the mission to come back. But yeah, you had that with them telling you the dragon's lair somewhere in this area, you have to find it. And then, as I remarked in the last video, after we defeated, after Mordrambor had left and we had to defeat the Gardane commander there, so many, as you've seen, so many of these missions that take place in dungeons and areas like that, you either have an NPC that you talk to that says, okay, talk to me again when you're ready to leave, and we exit, or there's a door that appears, a rock falls and there's an exit way. No, this one you had to find your way back out of the dungeon. And it's like, that is awesome. That is good. That is old school stuff there. They don't give you an easy out, just like they didn't give you an easy way of getting into it. Excuse me there for a second. Just like they didn't give you an easy way of getting into it, saying, let me know when you're ready and I will magically transport you to the beginning of the dungeon. No, they tell you got to find it yourself. It's somewhere in this area. And just like they didn't give you an easy exit there, you had to find your way back out of the dungeon. And in our case, it's like if you had snuck your way in, you better get pretty good at sneaking your way back out, because you're not going to get there otherwise. So we're going to continue heading on down to Rivendell here. Go talk to Elrond. Let's see, does this take us to Elrond, or are we going to have to go to Ost? What is Ost something? Out in the... there we go. Swift travel to Rivendell. I was thinking there would be. So we'll see you when we get there. And we head on up to the last homely house. We have reached the stables. Now I am going to mount up once more, head on back over to the last of the homely houses. I have tried to adjust the sound. I apologize if it's been a little off lately, especially that last video. I think had the music and the combat sounds turned up a little bit too high, so I was having to turn stuff down more than I usually do. Play around with the sound settings and all. I use a recording program called Action. It's by Marillis. And one of the things I really like about it is that the recorded video files that it makes are really nice. There's very, very little quality loss between them and fraps. Extremely little quality loss. You can, if you put a scene from a fraps video and a scene from the action next to each other, you can see minor trivial little differences here and there, but that quality is still really, really good. But the file sizes are half the size. So that is really nice. The other part that I like about it is that it records my voice separately. So my voice is on a separate track, which really helps out with a lot of the recordings here to get them to the point where do the balance between the narration and the background noise and the game effects and stuff like that. Now the downside of it is that Action uses its own proprietary. It's like, you know, it does AVI files, but AVI files there's a million different codecs for AVI files. It's like every program, it seems, that records in an AVI has its own codec and its own method of recording. So it can be difficult sometimes. I use PowerDirector. PowerDirector has always been my favorite editing software, but as you've noticed, I've had to use stuff like Visual Studio here lately, because PowerDirector has gotten hit or miss lately with being able to decode the codecs from Action. So, you know, we'll have to see what we're going to do here. I've been using something called, I think it's called Wondershare, to as losslessly as possible transfer the video files, the AVIs from the Action codec to a codec that PowerDirector has a little bit friendlier time with. But it's yet another step in the process, and like I said, this is a hobby. It's not my job by any means. I love making these videos because I love making the videos. I enjoy doing the whole process and all, but that does add yet another step to the process, which means that it takes more time away from what free time I have, and that it ends up making it harder to put out
Hope is not in vain.
material. Therefore, the number of videos I can actually make goes down once more. How did I get off on that train? Ooh, I tell you, something's good about this coffee this morning. Let me take another little sip of it. Something's good about this coffee. I am in a chatty mood this morning, and my friend Mindfriend isn't on, so I'm afraid instead of him having to listen to me, y'all are going to have to listen to me. At least I'm not on a rant, right? Chapter 14, The Heavy Burden. So the ring forges will burn again. Amarthael will reforge Narquil and use it to lead her armies against Eriador. At her side will be Mordrambor, who appears to have sided with her once more. If this happens, the North will be crushed, and though Rivendell will stand, it will only be a matter of time before we too are overrun. We must put an end to Amarthael's plans, once and for all.
Hope is not in vain.
Book 14, Chapter 15, The Doom of the North. One last hope remains, Gnarlo, and vain it may well be. You must travel to Mirabel and try to put an end to Amarthael's plans there. You must hurry. It may already be too late, but there is slender hope that she has not yet received the materials she needs to rekindle the forges of Eregion and reforge Narquil. Mirabel is far to the south of Rivendell in the land of Eregion. May the stars shine upon your road. Once again, a fellowship quest that we will be taking as a solo, and we will be getting our inspiration bonus. As y'all remember, we have been to Mirabel once before, whenever we were in that instance where we became Lairdan for a while, when he was down there trying to find his daughter, and when he was down there trying to cure his daughter and prevent her from being a Marthiel, but of course it was a trap, and he was responsible for Marthiel getting both pieces of the ring and for the hard spot that we are in right now. So if y'all will excuse me a moment, I'm going to go take a quick bathroom break and all and get things ready so I don't have to stop in the middle of this mission. So I will be back in just a moment. We have returned, and I'm glad we did take that little break because I'd pulled up the wrong one. I was pulling up the forward to the next volume, where we'll go and talk to the Fellowship, instead of the travel for chapter 15 here, the Doom of the North. So let's make sure we are going into the right instance. Your stand against the Marthiel is the last hope for Eriador unless the company fulfills their task. You must travel to Mirabel and Eregion, far to the south, if you are to have any chance of stopping her. That's what I'm doing.
Dark days are coming.
Oh, you want us to actually travel down there? You must travel to Mirabel. Shouldn't there be like a... Oh. I mean, I've accepted it, right? Yes. Journey to Mirabel and do whatever you can to stop can be reached by traveling far to the south. Wow. All right then, so we are actually going to have to travel. Well, there you go. Like I said, we're old schooling it here. Okay, well, we won't be finishing up the, I can tell you, we will not be finishing up this one today, because this is going to be a long journey ahead of us. And as I've said before, anytime we're traveling to areas that we've never been before, I always like to do a travel log type thing. Let you see on the map where we're going, and let you see in person how everything looks as we're actually traveling. Awesome. Okay. This is cool. I did not realize that we were going to actually have to travel down there. Hopefully, when we get down there, whatever we need to do will be nice and easily identified. Now, it was on my old character. I have plenty of stables down that way I could travel to or swift travel to, but Gnarlo has never been down that way except for the one trip that he took in that instance, and I do not think that we had a stable master there. Let me pull up the map here right quick just to be sure. Alright, here's Rivendell. We're going to be traveling down here to Eregion. Yeah, so do we have a stable? We picked up a stable, didn't we? How did we pick up that stable? Maybe it just shows on the map. Let us see, because I don't think that we should have a stable master there. I'm going to travel over to Elrond's stables, and I'll see you in just a minute when I verify that.